if you haven't played D&D, you know what a fairy looks like, you know how they act, you know some basic things about them. And Dungeons & Dragons fairies have their own lore that sticks kind of closely to what we think fairies should be like. But I'm going to propose a different kind of fairy. A fairy based more on some of our smallest creatures in the natural world. Today, we're going to build 3 fae creature iterations based on the same insect. I've seen so many beautiful artists create renditions of fairies based on insects, and I think not only can the natural world give us some really cool fae designs, but also inform our stat blocks and give us some really unique monsters, NPCs, and arch-fae creatures. So come with me while we paint, create, and write up the stat blocks for 3 different fae creatures based off the Luna Moth. For our first iteration of the Luna Moth inspired fae, I wanted to look at the larval stage, or caterpillars. So we've given this NPC a name that's a little bit of a play on the Latin for the Luna Moth, also with the surname Mond, which is the German for moon. They are humanoid. We're going to stick a little close to the fae, making them chaotic neutral. But this is meant to be someone who is, you know, a step above a regular NPC that you might encounter. For the aesthetics of this character, the color palettes of the Luna Moth caterpillar are actually very similar to its eventual moth form after it undergoes metamorphosis. So we were able to keep that design, and we basically gave her the full Luna Moth wings like she would have. We gave her a yellow cream colored dress to sort of mimic the cream colored bodies of the Luna Moth. And for her abilities, we gave her some spell casting. She is spec'd a little bit close to an artificer, but not fully being an artificer. I imagine her as someone who works with the elements a little bit and is working on shaping the environment immediately around her. As such, we've given her skills in nature and survival, which are the kind of things that a caterpillar would need. And for her spells, there are a couple standouts that we've chosen. We've given her the Acid Splash cantrip because the caterpillars of this species actually spit up like everything that they've eaten as a defense mechanism. I've also given her the spell Sanctuary because I feel like that's the kind of thing that you are looking for. You're looking to just protect yourself and keep yourself safe when you're in that stage of your life. I imagine this character is probably a very young character, and I imagine that they are very highly food motivated, just as a caterpillar would be, given that in that stage of your life, all you're doing is eating. Additionally, we've given her dark vision because Luna Moths are nocturnal and they have evolved to use the moonlight that they have to the best of their ability in order to navigate their environments at night. I think that this character would work really well as a shopkeep or a patron at a local bar, and I am really pleased with how she turned out. She looks young, she looks spunky, but she's the most simple of our designs. Now that we've got our NPC, we're going to move on to our monster. This one was painted by Keith. He did an awesome job. And honestly, I think I'm going to have the most fun building the stat block for this character. For our second iteration of the Luna Moth, I have dubbed this the Luna Monster. I think we could come up with a better name for it, but it was funny to me, and so that's what I'm going with for now. Although in their paint job and footprint on the map, they only take up a 5x5 space. We have made them a large creature. Because this character is so tall and lanky, it functions more like a large creature. I wanted this middle form to be that bridge between the caterpillar and the full Luna Moth. And so it takes ideas from both, but we're also focused on that cocoon pupae stage. And with that, we have some really unique traits that we are bringing into this particular really gross looking monster. He did such a great job making this thing look gross and wet and like it's just emerged from the cocoon. When these moths first emerge from their cocoons, they have to spend a lot of time standing around, pumping the equivalent of blood through their wings before they're usable. And I think that this model really captures that sort of wet look. How we've reflected this in the stat block is with what we're calling the silken camouflage, giving the Luna monster advantage on its stealth checks to hide in forested terrain. Often see these cocoons and you'll see it looks like a folded over leaf. So we've given it that ability to camouflage in that area. And I love the idea of having this sort of like cocoon or having it built up against a tree, because this one's so big and it's just dark and it sort of blends in with the environment until it starts to crack open and the players discover this monster waiting for them in the forest, or multiple of these monsters emerging in the forest as the moon rises in the sky. I think it's a really fun and scary idea. In this iteration, we are classing them as a fae. I think it's really fun to lean hard into this monstrous idea of the fae. We've given it 2 attacks. We've given it a multi-attack, but it has fairly limited attacks. I still think they're very fun. The first one we've given it is sickle spurs. Because these moths have spurs on their legs that they don't necessarily use for defense, but they do use them in their everyday life. So I wanted to bring that in, and you can see it on the model as well with these sort of like sickle spur hands. So that's going to be a sort of slashing attack that it can make with its hands. We've also given it an acid spit. Again, very similar to what we had with the acid splash in our NPC. In addition to that, we've upped their dark vision a little bit. We've given them tremor sense, and we've given it an acid immunity. Honestly, this one has the most fun stats. If you're going to steal any stat block from this video, which you should steal them all, steal this one. So there's its monster stats. But I also think if you like this design, if you have a more of like a creepy game, or if you want to make the Feywild feel completely alien to your world, you could make all your fairies look like this. They could have more humanoid NPC type stats if you wanted. But imagine a Feywild where all the creatures look like this, and how that would really mess with your player's head. But I did promise you one more, and I actually have a little bit of the painting process that we can look at while we talk about her. We are going to build our arch Fey goddess based on the Luna Moth. She's going to be really cool. Now for the big showstopper, we're at full Luna Moth with this character design. We have who I am dubbing Lunalis, the Archfey of light and silk, given that Luna Moths are silk moths. They are a huge creature. We're keeping them still chaotic neutral because I want to keep some of those Fey elements. And with this paint job, you can actually see some of my painting process because we painted this one live together on stream. If you ever want to come over and paint with us live, you can check that out on Mondays, Silver Dice Society on Twitch. But back to the model. With this one, they're an archfey. They have to be powerful. But I didn't want their power to diverge from what the Luna Moth is like. In this form, they don't eat. They are not looking for prey themselves. They are avoiders. Therefore, we've concentrated their stats into dexterity and charisma. We've given them acrobatic skill, arcana, intimidation, and persuasion. They still have that acid damage immunity that we've carried over from the previous iterations, and they are immune to being charmed because they are a fae. But now we get to get into the really cool parts of the Luna Moth in its moth form. When these insects become moths, one, they have such brilliant, bright green, yellow wings, and that reflects light. It catches light, it reflects light. It actually makes them look a little bit more visible at night. And so we've given her illumination. Just a little bit of illumination. She sheds bright light in a 5-foot radius and dim light in a 10-foot radius. But given that they're giving off light, how do they avoid predators? In our knowledge that we have so far on these moths. We know that they use the sort of wispy tendril parts of their wings that curl back and forth as they fly to act as a distraction for predators, particularly predators like bats. I wanted to play into that flightiness and also that ability to distract and make things look a way that they aren't. So she is a spellcaster. She's a 7th level spellcaster, casting with charisma, and we have given her Blade Ward for avoidance. We've given her light, again, for that capturing of the moonlight that they put off, and we've given her minor illusion, again, playing into that sort of tricking with visuals. Additionally, we've given her expeditious retreat. We've given her misty step. We've given her blink. We've given her slow. And to go with those spells, we've given her mirror image and confusion. We have given her an attack for when things get close up to her. If she had to attack them, she does have a spur kick, which this one's going to be a piercing attack instead of the slashing attack. So a different interpretation of the spurs. We had them on the arms in the monster. We have them on the legs here. But this attack doesn't do all that much damage. So it really is more of a last resort. Because of this, we've given her the leadership trait. That combined with her various spells, I think makes her a very fun commander of a combat which has multiple combatants. Obviously, she is going to be making the PC's lives harder, and she's going to be very hard to catch while making the actual threats in the environment more of a problem for the player characters. For her design, we've chosen a sculpt from Witch Song Miniatures, and with this one we've got some actual little moths on there. She has, again, the cream colored dress that mimics the abdomen of the moth. And then in addition, we have given her these bronze pieces of armor that complement that moth skin tone, and in the wings, glitter to catch the light and mimic the kind of thing that these moths do in the moonlight, in the dark. I could also see glow-in-the-dark paint being absolutely perfect for these models if you had it around. Another compliment to this model is its huge wingspan. Luna moths are some of the largest North American moths. Some of their wingspans can be as large as 7 inches wide, and I think both this model and this character concept really complement how large this insect is and how it stands out amongst others of its kind. And there we have our Archfey goddess, based on the Luna Moth, still fully incorporating that Luna Moth design, but also those inspirations from the insect in her stats and abilities. I really love how all 3 of these paint jobs turned out and how their stats turned out. I think it's such a fun exercise to take designs and to take facts that are already given to you and building your stats off that. It's a really fun way to get out of your comfort zone when building characters and building custom stat blocks if that's the kind of thing you want to get into. It's a great jumping off point. But if you like the stat blocks we built here today, all of them will be available at silverdicesociety.com, our website, for free, of course, along with a blog post about our creations for this Monster Week. I would love to hear if you guys were going to create a Fae character based on an insect. I want to know what insect you would choose. What do you want to see interpreted as a fairy, as a gross bug monster fairy, as an archfey? I want to know in the comments down below. So let us know. If you want to see more amazing mini painting, check out our show Creative Differences. It's kind of the opposite of this show, where instead of painting 3 models on the same theme, we give the same model to 3 different artists and see their different interpretations of it without knowing what the other one is painting. After that, check out the Monster Week playlist, because there are so many amazing tabletop creators making videos this week. Everyone's different interpretation on the theme Fae. And there is so much that topic covers. It doesn't just cover your ordinary fairies. Fae can be changelings. Fae can be furbolgs. Fae are even the origins of the elves in the Dungeons & Dragons universe. So go on over to the playlist, learn something, find your next favorite creator, and meet us back here to tell us about them. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a magical monster week.